Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this truth and rule well. And I want to say Shalom to Akim and Akwat out there pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. This one's titled The True Nature of the Edomites, Part 4. They love to steal. Okay, and of course this is a continuation, all right, of an ongoing series that we have going on. I'll make my way to the channel here. Of course, I'm logged in on the main channel here. I'm not sure. I think I got 2 more days before that one's back. Let's go and see. This should be up, Lord willing, soon, brothers and sisters. I think it should be 2 days. So I got 2 days left. So what is today? Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. So Thursday it'll be good again. Of course, I'll have to watch out for that strike, but hey, we should be back in full effect soon. Alright, I prefer my main channel, of course, but hey, at least we got another channel to do stuff, to make lessons on, right? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai Shai. They can't stop us completely. Right? So, of course, the ongoing series. This is part 4. We've done part 1, 2, and 3. Part 1 being they love to kill. Part 2, they love to lie. Part 3, they are proud. Part 4, today, alright, they love to steal. And then I believe part 5 is going to be the finale. That's going to close it out. Alright, and I don't want to ruin what it is. Alright, but that's that's the real, punch to the gut at the end of it for them. Alright, so it'll be, I guess, a 5-part series. As far as I know, that's what the Spirit's on me for right now. Who knows? It could be a recontinuation, but I think that's all it's gonna be for the for that series. All right, it's 5. So let's jump right into it and get into part 4. All right, again, part 4 is, make this bigger. Part 4 is the true nature of the Edomites. They love to steal. All right, and this is a shorter one here, but we got talking points we can hit, history we can hit. We're just gonna roll with the Spirit and see where we go with it. All right, so through the Spirit of Yahweh Shai Shai, we've been getting these this series, all right, and just revealing these devils, all right, through their actions, all right, and really, once you have the Spirit of Yahweh Shai Shai working with you, once you dive into the Bible and you read about the Edomites, it's also apparent who these who these people are. All right, it's also apparent that they're the so-called white people because they add up. Everything just adds up, man. No one covets fields like that and sells people like that, and no one does the things that they do. All right, and the secret counsel of the wicked, and that paints their faces as us. All right, no one else does that. It's clearly them. Once you have the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shai Shai dwelling with you, there's no deniability. All right, who this devil is. It's oh so clear. All right, and when you read about all the scriptures that are on screen right now, who adds up to those things, man? All right, when you go to who they love to lie, who adds up to those things? All right, when they're proud, who adds up to those things? Who exalts themselves as an eagle? Who does that? All right, who loves to murder the most? All right, and goes after his brother and kills him the most? Esau, man, the so-called white people. All right, it's ever so apparent, it's ever so clear. Once you start, getting into the scriptures and researching your history and researching these words, and going in the blue letter and searching things out, all right? And of course, most importantly, before you can even do that, you have to have the Spirit of Yahweh Shai Shai working with you, right? The Holy Spirit. Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to get any of those things, all right? So once you have all those things lined up and all the puzzle pieces are fit in their correct spots, it's also apparent who this devil is, man, all right? And they love to steal, and that's what we're focusing on today. All right, but I just wanted to mention that as a point of interest, almost. A thought-provoking sentiment. All right, to make. All right. So let's jump right in. Let's get Exodus 21 and verse 16. All right, it says Exodus 21 and 16, and let's see who this adds up to, and let's see if we want to read up. Now we'll just start with 16. Exodus 21 and 16, it's the point. It says, "And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death." Okay? "And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death." So who does that add up to? And I believe if you go and look up the Slave Bible, alright, I wonder if we can even find a PDF. We can do it on Internet Archive, which I'm a big fan of. I like this site a lot. Check it out. This is select parts of the Holy Bible for the use of Negro slaves in the British West India Islands. Okay? Also known as the Slave Bible. Alright, so we got Genesis. Okay? So what we need to do is we basically need to skip over to Exodus and find 21. And I'm not the best with Roman numerals. Wow, they really skip over a lot of stuff. There's not even that much of Exodus in here. Yeah, no. Very interesting. Yeah, they wouldn't want anything like that. They have a lot of things skipped out in here. Talking about obedience. More about obedience. You know, obedience to the Lord, not obedience to the slave master. But it's not getting the point we wanted to. But if you just look up Slave Bible Wiki, all right, and go to the Wikipedia, it'll show you. And I believe that's one of the scriptures omitted specifically is Exodus. Yep, right there, Exodus 21 and 16. It says British missionaries used in the education and conversion of the enslaved population. The editors included only 10% of the Old Testament and half of the New Testament. For example, among the excluded, which mean not included, passages are Galatians 3 and 28, which states there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Hamashiach Yahushai. Exodus 21 and 16 and Deuteronomy 23 and 16 through 17 were also removed. What is Deuteronomy 23 and 16? Let's go and look that up. Let's see why did they omit that? Let's see. You shall not hand over. Well, let's actually get to the 23 and 16 through 17. Let's go to 16. Deuteronomy 23 and 16. He shall dwell with thee even among you in that place which he shall choose in one of thy gates. Where it liketh him best, thou shalt not oppress him. Verse 17. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. Why would they specifically omit that? Why would they specifically omit something that was directly talking? Why were there so many things omitted that were directly talking to the Israelites? It's because they knew who they were dealing with, man. And on top of that, you know, they don't want this ideology going out. All right, they want to push their ideology. They want the daughters of Israel to be whores, and they want the men to be sodomites. Okay, that's how they want it to be. They want the men of Israel, the sons of Israel, to be sodomites, and they want the daughters of Israel to be whores. When here, The Bible specifically says by the Lord's command that there shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor sodomite of the sons of Israel. They try to switch everything around, but we're not gonna. This could be a topic for another day. I just recognize the scripture. They don't want this anywhere in their little Bible that they put together. Select parts of the Bible. All right. Exodus 21:16 once again, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. Which means this also means that Esau understands the gravity of this situation. All right, if they omitted this, they must know that could be brought back to them. All right, and they didn't want that to be out there. They didn't want that, that this word to be out there. Okay, in Exodus 21:16, they omitted that. Okay, they took that out of the Bible and made the slave Bible, and this wasn't in it. So they know that they're stealing a man. All right, and then they know that they have to be put to death for that. Okay, so this whole Esau doesn't know. If Esau doesn't know who they are or what's going on, then why did they omit this? Answer that. Answer it, E. Answer it. Why was this omitted? Why? Why was it omitted? Why were there scriptures about why were there specifically scriptures talking about Israelite obedience that you would read to them? If you didn't know that they were if they were Africans, why were you reading stuff about the Israelites to them? E, why? And why did you omit this if you didn't know? These devils, man. They going back to the lesson we did the other day. They love to lie. They love to lie, and they love to steal, and they love to lie about stealing that they didn't steal, and they love to lie about not murdering. This all adds up. It all goes hand in hand, man. Okay? They love to steal. They love to lie. They love to be proud. They love to murder, and it's all a mixed bowl of wickedness that they like to blend up. And they lie about stealing, and they lie about killing, and they lie about being proud. It's all lies, man. All right? It's all lies. Exodus 21:16 once again, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. And this was omitted from the slave Bible, what they were reading to the so-called Negro, well, most primarily the Negroes, but there were Latinos and Native Americans scattered in there as well. They might have looked like a so-called Negro, but they were in there, through the bloodline. They actually went back to other tribes, okay? But most notably, the so-called Negroes, right? So, why? Answer, riddle me that, Batman, like we said the other day. Riddle me that, right? So, if this wasn't speaking of them, why would they omit it? Okay? And it's clear. He that stealeth a man, who does that? Esau does it, all right? They're the ones stealing us and selling us, right? That's what they were doing. It's ever so clear. And they knew that. That's why they omitted it from the slave Bible. They did not want it in there. So there's no getting around this, E. You fucked yourself on that one. All right, by omitting it in the first place from the slave Bible, because now you can prove that it goes back to you, because if it didn't, then why would you remove it? Why would you remove it? If it was nothing bad, then why would you remove it? Because this goes back to you. You didn't want the slaves seeing this because they could accredit it to you. That's why it wasn't in there. Exodus 21:16, once again, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. Not only proving that you are the Edomites, all right, and that's what you're doing, but also that you steal, all right? You steal. You love to steal. The true nature of the Edomites, part 4, they love to steal, okay? That's what they do, and guess what? They love to steal in many different ways. All right, as we got in the first lesson, all right, about killing, we got Micah 2:2. We're going to go get it again, because not only is it about killing, okay, Micah 2:2 says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away, so they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Okay, so they covet fields. What does it mean to covet something? Covet means
covet.
Yearn to possess or have something, desire, to crave, to have one's heart set on, to want, to wish for, to dream of, to hanker for. So they want these things really bad. So what do? They take them by violence. They steal them. That's still stealing. All right, that's essentially robbery. Okay, say if you have $50 and I really want that $50, and I come with a Smith & Wesson, I press that shit to your dome. I says, give me that $50 right now, or I'm gonna blow your fucking brains out. Is that not stealing? I'm still stealing, and I'm stealing and threatening of violence at the same time. Okay, that would be stealing. That would be stealing. I'm saying, hey, I'm threatening you with violence. Give me your shit right now. Run those pockets. That's still stealing. They covet fields and take them by violence. Not only are they stealing and killing and not only are they killing and murdering and killing, murdering, the same thing, and threatening. All right, they're also stealing at the same time, because those say this land belongs to person A. All right, and then here you have person B, the Edomites. They come along and say, hey, we want this land, person A. And person A says, no, you're not having the land. All right, but person B, Esau, really wants that land. So what are they going to do? They're gonna say, give us the land or we're going to kill you. Person A says, no, we're not going to do it. So person B comes in and kills him. And what is that? That's robbery. All right, that's robbery. If I go into a bank, all right? If I go into a bank, because that's just conquering. Yeah, isn't that not stealing? If I go into a bank and all that money is not mine, and I pull out a gun, all right, and I say, give me all the gun, and give me all the money, all right, and they don't do it, and I kill everybody in the whole building, right? Is that not still robbery? That's robbery and murder. If what would the sentence be for that? All right, it would, if say, for example, if someone did that, all right, what would the sentence in prison? Would it just be the murder? No, you'd also get with armed robbery and then all the counts of murder that you did, because it was also stealing. It was also theft. That's what these people do. They covet fields and they take them by violence, which is also theft. It's also stealing. All right, now I want to get Micah 2:2 in the Good News translation just to see what it has to say. Okay? It says, Micah 2 in verse 2, it says, how terrible it would be. It says the fate for those who oppress the poor, and that would be the Edomites, all right? Those would be Edomites. The fate for the Edomites who oppress the poor being Israel, right? Verse 2, it says, how terrible it will be for those who lie awake and plan evil, Esau, right? When morning comes, as soon as they have the chance, they do the evil they planned. Verse 2, and we forgot to read that. Let's start over. Let's actually go from Micah 2:1 and the King James Version so we can fully understand it. Micah 2:1, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Okay, so that's speaking of the Edomites. They are the ones who devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds, right? That's what they do, because why? It's in the power of their hand. They have the ability to do it. All right, they're currently in rulership of the world, right? So they can do those things. So woe to them that devise iniquity. Woe being destruction, and devising iniquity is devising wickedness. All right, and that, who's doing that? The Edomites. And verse 2, once again, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses, and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man and his heritage. All right, again, once you read those, it's ever so apparent that it's speaking of the Edomites. Going into the Good News translation, all right, continue it. Salakia, we have to read them as it is. We have to get verse 1 and 2 if we're going to get verse 1 and 2 over here in the Good News translation. It says, how terrible, verse 2, how terrible it will be for those who lie awake and plan evil. When morning comes, as soon as they have the chance, they do the evil they planned. When they want fields, they seize them. What does it mean to seize? Let's go and get that word. Let's go see that word. Of course, it's not going to let us copy it. Let's seize. Okay? Seize. Definition. Let's see. Seize would mean to take hold of suddenly and forcefully. That sounds an awful lot like theft. All right, let's see. Take forcible possession of. That sounds a lot like theft. Okay? Conquer, to colonize. That's other words for theft. All right, to steal. If you take forcibly something, if you're holding a bottle of soda, all right, a Pepsi, and I come over there and yank that shit in your hand, it's mine now. All right, that's still theft, is it not? That's still theft. Why aren't they saying theft? Colonize. All right, what is it? It's theft. All right, it's steal. Send a group of settlers to establish political control. It's theft. Just to say what it is, it's theft. Taking over, overrun, found. That's not finding something. That's stealing something. But you see how Esau controls everything, so they can control what these definitions mean. All right, to seize would be to steal. All right, seizing is theft. Seize is theft. Let's look it up. Look at this. While civil asset forfeiture is legalized theft. It's theft, man. It's theft. Seizing is theft. It is. It's robbery. Asset forfeiture or asset seizure is a form of confiscation. All right. It's theft, man. It's confiscate. If you confiscate something, it's theft.
Confiscation.
The action of taking or seizing someone's property with authority. All right, for example, if you have a house and they come and confiscate that or seize it or put whatever the hell on it, that's theft, man. That is theft, but they don't ever attribute it with theft. The word theft never comes up. Seize, theft doesn't come up. Confiscate doesn't come up. Commandeering, theft still won't come up. As you can see, theft is not going to come up. Claim, to take, but theft never shows. Why? Because they don't want it to be thought of as theft. But what are they? Because they're a bunch of thieves. They like to steal. And coveting fields and taking them by violence, that is a form of theft. When they definition 2 or verse 2, Salakia, in the Good News translation, when they want fields, they seize them, they steal them. They steal them. And when they want houses, they take them, they steal them. No one's family or property is safe. Here, let's go ahead and say what this is really speaking. When they want fields, they steal them. When they want houses, they steal them. No one's family or property is safe, and they do this today through forfeitures, asset relinquishment, right? What's the other one that they do? What the hell is it? Let me grab a drink and think at the same time. Repossession in a way. All right. If you look up repossess. All right.
Repossess.
Retake possession of something when a buyer defaults on payments. And necessary, and that's the thing, if you're paying on a house or if you're struggling, you shouldn't be kicked out of that fucking house because you're struggling, all right? As long as you're making, if you don't, I'm never gonna pay, that's a little bit different, all right? But you shouldn't be kicked out of a house if you're actively trying, but they'll do that, all right? Even though you put all this money in this house, do you get any of the money back? No, all right? They just take it, all right? If you do get any money back, it's very little, all right? It's very little because it's theft. Micah 2:2. And they covet fields and take them by violence, stealing, all right? Basically, if you take something by violence, like I said, if somebody, use the example, is robbing a bank, all right? If you or anybody, all right, of course we wouldn't do it because we're in this truth, right? And we know it's wrong, all right? But if anybody was to do that, all right, and go and rob somebody by gunpoint, because that would be threatening, threat of extreme violence, right? So I'm gonna blow your face off. Shit like that. If that's taking something by violence, you're still stealing at the end of the day. All right, you're just threatening and stealing at the same time, right? It says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. Now, who's the one taking all the houses away? All right, that's Esau. And so they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. You can't have shit in Babylon, man. You can't have shit. All right, nothing. Slakia. Let's check it out. The lesson that Apostle Gabar just uploaded. Now they detoxifying meal ideas. I guess that's almost like I don't know if that would be considered as part of his In My Kitchen series, but hey, it's something to check out. So Nahum 3:1. Let's go and get it. So these people are most definitely thieves. All right, they are most definitely thieves. Now, colonization. Colonization. The action or process of settling among and establishing control over indigenous people of an area. Okay? The action of appropriating a place or domain for one's own use. Why aren't the words stealing coming up? Because colonization is theft. But then again, what are the words? Seize, commandeer, expropriate, annex. Right? None of the... There it is. Boom. Finally, it came up. Finally, after searching and searching and searching. Appropriate. Steal. It means to steal.
Steal.
There you go. It means to steal. Finally. You slipped up on that one, Esau. The action of appropriating a place or domain for one's use. The action of stealing a place for one's own use. We're gonna come over here, we're gonna steal this land, and now it's ours. That's Esau. If you look up colonization, let's go see what the people look like. Edomites, 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 Edomites. You want to keep going? Edomites, 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 Edomites. Why? Because they're all, look, it's all the pictures are very pale that we're looking at currently. All right, they're all Edomites. All right, and what is colonization? Because they're the colonizers. All right, Edomites are the colonizers. All right, when you go to colonize and you look it up, the action of appropriating a place or domain for one's use. You go over here. What does it mean? It means to steal. To steal.
Steal.
There you go. To purloin, to thieve, to take for oneself, heap oneself to loot, to pilfer, to abscond with, to run off with, appropriate, abstract, carry off, shoplift, embezzle, misappropriate, walk off or away with. All right, to rob, to swipe, to nab, to rip off, to lift, to liberate, to filch, to snaffle, snitch, souvenir, nick, pinch, half-inch, whip, knock off, nobble, bone. All right, use some hood terms. How about gank? All right, to gank the land, right? That's what these people are doing. All right, that's what these people are doing. All right, and we got this backwards. But hey, let's grab this anyway. It was supposed to be Nahum 3 and 1, but we got Nahum 1 and 3, which is excellent as well, because it's talking about the Edomites. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord hath his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. All right, and tomorrow, you know, Lord willing, or whenever we get around to it, all right, part 5, the finale, the season finale, all right, of the true nature of the Edomites, okay, is going to be dealing, you know, I guess we'll go ahead and give it up, all right? Tomorrow's lesson, or whenever it gets to it, is going to be called, Lord willing, the true nature of the Edomites. The Lord hates them, all right? The Lord hates them, okay? That's the finality. That's the finale, all right? The finality, all right? That's the combination of the word finale and fatality, all right? That's the killer finale, all right? The finality. Fatality, right? So maybe we'll put that. We'll put the fatality. You know, we'll put the, like, in the little picture that we have. We'll put the Mortal Kombat fatality over it, right? And that'll be the final. All right, the finality, right? The final fatality for Esau, right? The ending of this, you know, series. Okay, the Lord hates them, and he does. All right, so let's correct this. All right, Nahum 3 and 1 had a dyslexia spurt. This is what we were supposed to get. All right, which is Nahum 3 and 1. Woe to the bloody city, Esau's city, which is Babylon the Great. All right, America, in case you're not familiar. All right, that's what they call it, America, United States of America, right? So it's really Babylon. All right, it's the spiritual successor. All right, what's the successor?
Successor.
All right, a person or thing that succeeds another. All right. Let's see, the replacement, right? To take over throne inheritance, it's the replacement. All right, to come after the spirit. What is a spiritual successor? A spiritual successor. All right, and it's used in video games and stuff. But what is a spiritual successor? All right, a spiritual successor is a type of sequel that is not part of the same world or story as its predecessor, but is nonetheless considered to be a successor. All right, so example would be something that takes over from where one thing left off. Okay, with many video games, you know, there might have been series that, you know, went away and aren't around anymore. Okay, but, you know, for example, like I don't think they make the Ultima series anymore. If any of you brothers, you know, old school brothers, remember the Ultima series. All right, or Wizardry, all right, old school RPGs, 80s, right? But there are spiritual successors to those that aim to, you know, capture the gameplay of those things. Same with shows, all right? Same for shows, okay? So a spiritual successor, or a spiritual sequel, is a product or a fictional work that is similar to or directly inspired by another previous work. And we can close it off there. So it's not necessarily Babylon, because there's old Babylon, old Egypt, right? Old Sodom and Gomorrah. But Babylon is the, you know, the spiritual successor, all right, of, I should say, America is the spiritual successor of those places, all right, using the worldly term. Really, it's the demonic successor, all right, because there's nothing spiritual about it. All right, but it is in a way because it is spiritual because it's called spiritual Sodom and Egypt. So it's the spiritual successor. All right, it's the successor because Babylon's gone, Egypt is gone, and Sodom and Gomorrah is gone. So America is that spiritual successor. All right, it's the replacement, so to speak, right? And all those things that once were in Babylon and once were in Egypt and once were in Sodom and Gomorrah are now in America. All right. So that they took this land over and went to that. All right. So that's the bloody city. All right. That's Babylon, the spiritual successor. All right. America, the spiritual successor to all those places. All right. And if you've noticed something, what happened to Babylon? Let's see. What happened to Babylon? The Most High destroyed Babylon. All right, and Egypt didn't necessarily get destroyed per se, but it was basically destroyed by plagues. All right, and then what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? Rain, sulfur, and fire. So that happened to Babylon, that happened to Egypt, that happened to Sodom, and not necessarily the fire, but all sorts of devastation at the hands of the Lord. So, the spiritual successor, America, all right, to all those places, what do you think is going to happen to it? If the Lord destroyed Babylon, and the Lord destroyed, to an extent, Egypt, and the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, what do you think is going to happen to America? It's going to be destroyed, all right? It's going to be destroyed. Now, Egypt wasn't totally destroyed, but it was devastated, man. It was devastated, and the point got across, right? And he was able to deliver his people from Egypt. Right? Not complete destruction as with the other places, right? But it got the point across, all right? There's going to be complete destruction for Babylon, though, all right? And why is sodomy a sin? All right? Because it is, okay? Stop doing booty hole stuff. That's it. These people also ask, why is sodomy a sin? Because it is. Don't do it. It's gross. All right? But Nahum 3:1, going back to the scriptures, woe to the bloody city, Babylon. It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey, being Jacob, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the prey departeth not. I like staying here, all right? I like it, it's cool. I like staying here with my tents, just it's stereotypical Jake shit, right? Stereotypical shit for our people, all right? Because we are a stereotype here, all right? That's how our people are always portrayed, all right? And a lot of time, that's because that's how our people are acting. So you can't really get all too mad, Jake. All right, a lot of times, for example, that's how our people act, man. That's how our people act. All right, that's how our people act. Now, like I said, I believe I go back to Judah, but I have a part, in my family, not necessarily family per se. That's an Issacharite side. All right, and it's fucking stereotypical, man. It's fucking big ass board shorts, fucking low top Nikes, fucking long ass socks, lowriders and Coronas and Modelos all day, man. That's exactly what it is. All right, bumping Quetta Yeska and Little Rob. All right, and all that. All right, all that. Okay, that's stereotype. They must be living exactly to the stereotype because that's exactly how they are. All right, I can attest for it because part of my so-called family. All right, because they're not really family, not through any direct relation. All right, one of those things, it's through married in, right? One of my uncle's wives, ex-wife to be exact. Not the Edomite, but they're not another one, right? So not the Edomite woman, but this is a Mexican lady, so-called Mexican lady, Issacharite lady. This uncle on my mom's side, right? Again, technically no relation there either. So. All through that, that's how our people act, man. And those type of people, do you think cholos and vatos and locas and thugs and gangbangers and res people, do you think they want to leave? No, the res it's the same thing as the ghetto, man. You got the Mexican ghettos, you got the black ghettos, and then you got the res. And they're all the same place. All right, they just got a little bit of a different flavor. All right, they're all suckers. They're all just flavored differently. All right, sour apple, strawberry and grape. All right, just different flavors. All right, they're the same thing at the end of the day. They're a sucker, right? But they have different flavors. All right, but the flavors are all actually kind of all really similar. If you look at them, they're all basically about the same. All right, they're all basically about the same. You have thugs on the res, you have thugs in the barrios, and you have thugs in the hood. It's the same shit, man. It's the same shit, just a different name. That's all it is. All right, the hood, the barrio, and the res, they're the same fucking thing. All right, and everybody, and our people love the barrio. They love the res. Right? They love the hood. I'm never leaving at the hood. I ain't ever gonna leave the ghetto. All right, all these different dumbass songs. The Pray departeth not. Jake, you don't want to leave. All right, you like the way it is. You like the rap music and the guns and the violence and all your people dying and not living to be that old. All right, and the death and the disease and the mow and all that. You love it. All right, you don't depart from this place. Okay. Woe to the bloody city, Babylon the Great. It is all full of lies and robbery. Everything's a lie here, and it's full of robbery. They rob you from everything. Everything's a robbery. Every which way you look, the taxes that you're paying are robbery. All right, the this and that you're doing is robbery. All right, the inflation is robbery. All right, everything, man. Every which way you're being robbed. All right, you are being robbed in every which way, and it's full of so much lies and robberies, in fact, that you can't even tell when you're being robbed or lied to. Because everything is a lie and everything is robbery. Everything is a lie and everything is robbery. You watch a TV show that's full of lies. All right, you go to the store, you're getting robbed. All right, you pay taxes, you're getting robbed. All right, of course we have to pay tithes, but that's a different thing. That goes to the Lord, not some dirty Edomite's pocket. All right, to get him more money. All right. Oh, the taxes for the community. The taxes hardly ever go back in the community. Maybe a little bit for certain things, but then you're taking more money. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. All right, it's just wicked. Complete wickedness, man. Complete wickedness. And you people don't even understand you're being robbed. All right? Esau's essentially what they're doing is, give me your money. Okay. That's essentially what you're doing. And you don't even understand you're being robbed. Because everything's robbery. If everything's robbery, how can you understand when you're being robbed? Right? It's just like if everything was wet, all right, would you know that you were wet? All right? If you were covered in water 24/7, you wouldn't understand that you're wet. All right, but when you're not, you can understand that you're dry. So if you're being robbed all the time, you don't understand, you don't see it, you don't understand, you don't ever think outside the box. Here you are in a puddle of water. You don't step back and think, maybe I'm wet. You don't ever think about that. All right, just the same way as you never step back and think, am I being robbed? All right, now some people do. Hell, even some of the Edomites think about these things. But Jake ain't too bright. All right, Jake ain't too bright. Okay, they don't understand that they're being robbed because Jake has a bad situation with financials. All right, Jake is financially retarded. All right, for lack of a better word, Jake is financially retarded a lot of the time. All right, because it doesn't get passed down to the family how to manage finances. All right, that's all through the curses. All right, now it's one of the things is curse shall be your basket, right? And a lot of people credit that just to the Edomites, but a lot of the time, I believe as well. It ain't really about what I believe, but I think through how I see it, is not only is it through Esau, because it is Esau oppressing us, but not only is it Esau, but if you ever notice, Jake makes very bad financial decisions. So that's another way those curses could be hitting. All right? That's another way those curses could be hitting. It's not just with Esau, robbing you and making it to where your stores don't prosper. Another thing is just it's a curse of the mind, all right? Through the head, all right? With Jake. All right? If you look at Jake, the white man took all my money. Well, why? What are those? These are the brand new Nike jumps, man, or the Nike dunks and the Nike flip-flaps or whatever. Well, how much were those? $250. Well, why'd you buy those? Well, we were tight. Do you have food in the fridge? No. I'm like, well, what are you gonna do now? You can't blame that on Esau. All right, and we're not here to stand up for Esau, but part of the curses. All right, part of the curses is that there's many different things that come to the curses. All right, and through that's just one of my personal things that I think is that part of that it's not all through the Babylonian society and the Edomites, but it's also through the sickness of Jake's mind. All right, because Jake, they inherently they know that they want nice things because Jake goes back to royalty, but the way that it's set up through the robbery and everything nowadays, you can't get that. But it's also lack of common sense with Jake. All right, Jake is more likely to, Jake, they'll blame Edomites for everything, and a lot of this shit can go back to Edomites. That is true, but here you are, you're in the hood, and you have a fucking Rolls Royce for what? All right, or you have a Tesla. All right, you'll see that their house looks like shit. They got like fucking, dead ass weeds out in front of the yard, but they have a Tesla for what? For why? Why do you have a Tesla? All right. Why do you have a Tesla? Is there food in the fridge? No. All right. What you know? Or that's how Jake is, man. They don't understand it, man. They don't get it. They don't get it. Okay. And that's just, like I said, that's just one of my thoughts that I have. All right. Another brother can feel free to correct me or offer their thoughts on the matter. All right. But it's the curses. Yes, you're gonna be cursed your basket, but it's not always just through, just Edomites robbing you, because that's something you got to deal with. But you also got to learn financials. All right. You can't go and spend, here you have a $500 check and you spend $400 of it on clothes and Black and Milds and booze, and you say, yeah, Esau did this to me. Well, why did you spend it on clothes and booze? You didn't need those clothes. You have a whole closet full of clothes. Well, this is that's old. That's last season's though. This is the new seasons. I got I used to have an Aaron Rodgers jersey. When he was in the Green Bay, but I can't have that one now because he's not in Green Bay. See, I like Aaron. No, Jake. If it's just, man, and it's the curse of the mind. All right, it really is. It still goes back to the curses. All right. So, hey man, they're robbing you in many different ways, and a lot of time you don't want to depart this place, and here you are, you have no money because you're. Anyway, so this is Isaiah 10:1. All right, we're going to verse 3 or 2. All right, we'll just flow with it. Isaiah 10:1 reads, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees." And then I missed the point that I was getting on, but it needs to be said at the same time. Jake making bad decisions, and Jake wants to stay here. Jake's just through. All right, Jake's just through. All right, and you want to stay where your oppressor is literally, just making your life a living hell. You want to stay in Esau's society for what? Why would you want to stay in Esau's society with Moses and here you are? You want to, as long as you stay under Esau's rule and we're here, you're going to be under those same curses of the mind. You're not going to have no money. You're not going to be able to prosper. Your health's going to be all fucked up. The women are going to be all ran through. The men are going to be all fucked up in the head and crazy too, and leaving their kids. All right, and also the kids are going to be baby kids fucking around and being evil little demons. All right, and you want to stay in that society for what? For what? Why would you want to stay in that society, Jake? All right, continuing on. I just had to close out with that. Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, Edomites, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, Israelites, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Again, the fatherless being Israel. And that's what they want to do. They rob, they rob, they rob, they rob, they rob, they rob. They steal, they rob, they kill, they lie, right? That's what they do. It's their favorite things to do. That's the true nature of the Edomites, man. All right, let's get Isaiah 10:1 through 2 in the Good News Translation. All right, most notably 2. It says that, we'll read it from 1. It says, "You are doomed, Esau," right? You are doomed. You make unjust laws that oppress my people. If he's saying my people, who is the Lord's people? Israel. Who else? No one else. Just Israel. You are doomed. You make unjust laws that oppress my people, the Israelites. That is how you keep the poor from having their rights and from getting justice. That is how you take property that belongs to widows and orphans. That is robbery. That's robbery. Okay, and that's another thing. You may rob the fatherless. It says, and in going back into the Good News Translation, it says, you keep the poor from having their rights and getting justice. You're robbing us not only from physical goods, but you're robbing us from justice. We don't have any justice in the society, and you're robbing and stealing that from us as well. All right, you're stealing our health from us. You're stealing our money from us. You're stealing our justice from us. You're stealing our heritage from us, right? No longer are we the Israelites. No, we're someone else. No, these people over in Israel now are the Israelites. All right, the people with the little curly, sideburns and stuff. See, that's a form of robbery. All right, that's a lie, and it's a form of robbery. All right, you're lying every which way, man. You're lying up, lying down, lying left, lying right, lying north, south, east, and west. Every which way you're lying, all right? Lying diagonally and shit, all right? Every which way you can lie, you're shoving in lies. You're shoving in lies about the food. You're shoving in lies about, the culture and history. Everywhere you look, it's a lie, all right? Everywhere you look, it's a lie. The earth is 4.2 billion years old. Lie. Black people are so... Lied. All right? Well, the people in Israel, the real is lie. All right? Well, the original Israelites were actually Middle Eastern. Lie. Well, they looked like they were olive skin. Lie. well, you see, what we do is that lie. What are you gonna lie? Come on, go. What's the next lie gonna be, Esau? What's the next lie gonna be? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? It's fucking ridiculous. All right. That's Esau, man. We're gonna close out with Ecclesiasticus 10 and 8. All right, also known as Sirach. All right, it's gonna be in your Apocrypha, or your 1611 Bible, of course. All right. So, block you. So like Ecclesiasticus 10 and 8. Or you can get this and close out. Because of unrighteous, block you. Ecclesiasticus 10 and 8. This is where we're closing out. Lord willing, Ecclesiasticus 10 and 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, we're coming back to that, the kingdom is translated from one people to another, and that's another thing. So that's what we're gonna get into that more, the season finale, or the finality, as we incorrectly. There's another word. Pulling a bunch of bushisms today, man. As we misinterpreted that word, all right, and misspoke, as we should say. Okay, so altogether again, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, Slakia, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. That one people is Esau, the another people is Jake. The kingdom is translated from Esau to Jacob. All right, so it's translated from Esau to Jacob. All right, and Esau's not going to pass the torch. All right, but Yahushua is going to rip that shit from right out of his hand. All right, when they say pass the torch. All right, what does that mean? Pass the torch. All right. It says to give one's job and duties to another person. He's retiring and passing the torch on to his successor. All right, basically, taking control. All right, Esau's not going to willingly give it up, but Yahushua is going to come up and he's going to rip that torch out of Esau's hand, all right, and kick him down, all right, and push him down and say, now what? All right, now you're going into captivity. All right, that's what's going to happen, because Esau is not going to willingly give it up, but Yahushua is going to strip that shit from right out of his hand. All right, he's going to strip that shit from right out of his hand. No, forcefully take it from Esau. Because Esau would never willingly give it up. Yahushua is going to forcefully make him give it up by death, destruction, missile rain, all right? Raining missiles and nukes and bombs, all right? And it's going to be terrible, man. All right, and that's how it's going to be translated from Esau to Jacob, all right? But we got this, all right, because it's also a good segue into the season finale, or the series finale, there I go again, all right? Finale of, the true nature of the Edomites. But we want to grab this in the Good News Translation. Of course, we have to change this to Sirach so they can understand it. Sirach 10 and 8 in the Good News Translation says, because of unrighteous dealings and injuries and riches got by deceit, that's not what we're looking for. Sirach 10 and 8, injustice, arrogance, and wealth cause nations to fall from power and others to rise to take their place. And it kind of takes a lot of it out of it. But what is this word deceit? Here's another. We can get more edification from it. Deceit.
Deceit.
The action or practice of deceiving someone by concealing or misrepresenting the truth. Fraud. Fraud.
Fraud.
Wrongful or criminal deception intended to result in financial or personal gain. Theft should come up in here. Rip off, to scam, deceit, cheating, to rip off. We'll find it. We'll get to the word scam came up. The dishonest scheme, a fraud. All right, and fraud is a form of theft. Okay, so fraud is a form of theft. Look. Fraud, theft. Fraud is theft. Look, theft involves the direct physical taking of property, whereas fraud relies on manipulation, deception, and misrepresentation. Okay, but they're still the same thing, man. They're still the same thing. Okay? So all it is theft is physically taking it, and then fraud is more of making up a lie to steal from them, without them knowing that they're being stolen from. All right, to basically trick them into handing the money over, which is still a form of theft, man. Okay, that really goes into what's the word? Oh man, bear with me. It's called oh, god damn it. Come on, brain, get with the program. It's not blackmailing. Oh, god damn it. I can't remember the term. It's slipping me, but there's a Bible scripture based upon it. It's it's like taking money from someone. I can't remember the name of the word. All right, but so Salakia, it's not coming to me. I know that it's in there. But hey, we're gonna keep on keeping on. But Ecclesiastes 10:8, once again, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit. Salakia, let's start over. Ecclesiastes 10:8, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. And that's going to be it's going to be taken from Esau and given to Jacob. All right, starting, with Yahushai. All right, he's going to inherit, and then he's going to share his inheritance with us. Okay, which is a beautiful thing for him to do. Okay, and Thawad Yahushai for that. Okay, because that's a beautiful thing for him to do. Okay, so and right there it says because of unrighteous dealings. That's basically a blanket term. All right, for many different things. If you look up at the word blanket term, a word or phrase that is used to describe multiple groups of related things. It's a blanket term. All right, unrighteous dealings. That could be many things. Dealings that are unrighteous. All right, stealing, murder, theft, fornicating, brain dirtying the people. It's a blanket term. Unrighteous dealings. Any type of dealing that's unrighteous. It's a blanket term. It covers a lot of different areas, and there's quite a few different blanket terms used in the Bible, and we always pointed out when that's used, because of there's for example, many great miseries shall be done in the end days. All right, roughly paraphrasing that scripture, right? Many great miseries, that's a blanket term. It's not telling you exactly murder and all that. Many great miseries, many terrible things. All right, many terrible things. All right, or another one that you can get is in the book of Matthew, when it's talking about the signs of the time. Uproars of the people. All right, that's a blanket term. Many things that are causing uproars. All right, so unrighteous dealings, that's a blanket term. There's a lot of different things that can't be necessarily covered, all at once. All right, but unrighteous dealings, dealing with things that are unrighteous, that's what it is. All right, the unrighteous actions. All right, which is a blanket term for many different things. All right, the pedophilia and all the wickedness that's going on in this world. All right, all that sort of thing. All right, it's a blanket term. All right, that's a blanket term because those things are going on. All right, and the Lord has to come back and fix those things. All right, and he's going to do that by taking one people out of power and putting another people into power. All right, he's going to take Esau out of power and put Jacob into power. All right, as the scripture says, it says the kingdom is translated from one people to another. And Lord willing, we'll touch on that more tomorrow. All right, or whenever we get to the season finale or the series finale of the true nature of the Edomites. But that's going to go ahead and bring a close to part 4. All right, the true nature of the Edomites, part 4. They love to steal. All right, Lord willing, unless this was edifying. All right, of course, once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to elders and apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this truth and rule well. I want to say shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until next one, Lord willing, shalom.